Every year, we have the same question. Is it worth upgrading to the new iPhone? And sometimes the answer is an easy yes. This year, not so much. So today we're gonna go into all the differences between the iPhone 15 Pro Max and 16 Pro Max to see if the new iPhone is worth the upgrade. Okay, first up, screen size and display quality. This year, the Pro models are bigger, with the Pro having a 6.3-inch display and the Pro Max coming in at 6.9 inches. The thinner bezels also make the screen look even better, and I thought the 16 Pro Max would be less comfortable to use than the 15 Pro Max due to its size, but the overall experience of using it is about the same. While the Pro Max hasn't always been the easiest to hold, especially for one-handed use, the large screen is still a big advantage. Now, when it comes to how much you can see on the display, the 16 Pro Max shows a bit more than the 15 Pro Max, but the difference is really small. And I have to say, it was tough deciding between the Pro and the Pro Max this year, but the bigger screen made me stick to the Pro Max. Both models have great screen quality, and the 16 Pro Max also now goes down to just 1 nit of peak brightness, which might seem like a small thing, but it actually makes a difference. I use standby mode at night, and the screen on my 16 Pro Max is much dimmer than my husband's 15 Pro Max, so it doesn't bother us as much when we're sleeping. Next, new colors. The iPhone 16 Pro Max introduces a new color, Desert Titanium, which replaces last year's blue. I know that a lot of gold iPhone fans are happy about that, and I am really happy that Apple kept the natural titanium option because it's definitely my favorite. Now, before I move on, make sure to comment down below if you're thinking about upgrading this year, and if you already upgraded, let me know which iPhone you bought and which iPhone you had before. Your feedback can really help other subscribers here on the channel. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss any of my new videos coming up. Okay, talking about the finish, the iPhone 16 Pro Max has a slightly shinier finish on the sides. It's really hard to notice the difference unless you look closely, but the 15 Pro Max has more of a brushed titanium look. As for speakers, it's really hard to fully demonstrate how the speakers sound through a video because you will never be able to hear what I'm hearing, so I won't go into much detail. But overall, the speakers on the 16 Pro Max are very similar to the ones on the 15 Pro Max. Now, I want to quickly show you text cases for the iPhone 16 lineup. This is the standard case 4.0, available in Arctic or Granite Frost. And this is the perfect case for those who prefer minimal cases or no case at all, because it's sleek and thin, but it still protects your iPhone from everyday scratches. This ultra-thin and lightweight case is made from high-quality polycarbonate plastic, which offers strong durability, plus the clickable buttons provide satisfying and responsive feedback with every press. The standard case 4.0 is MagSafe compatible, but for an even stronger bond, you can pair it with Tac's MagSafe magnet accessory. If you're interested, make sure to check out the link down below in the description, and thank you so much, Tac, for sponsoring today's video. Now, let's get back to it. Now, battery life is great. The 16 Pro Max has been lasting me the whole day with no problem at all, and we all know that Apple doesn't really share the exact milliamp hours for the iPhones, but they did mention that battery life is better, and it indeed is. We're currently in Italy, and I've been using maps on my iPhone 16 Pro Max to walk around the city, and I still get home with around 40% battery life, which is pretty impressive. I'd say lasts about 3 hours longer than the previous generation. So if you don't want to worry about battery life, the 16 Pro Max might be the best choice for you. Also, the iPhone 16 Pro Max now supports charging up to 25 watts with MagSafe, which means it charges faster than before. And now let's talk about camera upgrades. The iPhone 16 Pro Max brings a few notable changes to the camera system. For video, you now have the option to shoot 4K 120, while the 15 Pro Max was limited to 4K at 60 frames per second. Personally, I don't use the iPhone to record videos here for the channel. I use it mainly for stories or capturing memories, so I don't use the slow motion features very often, but for professionals who rely on their iPhone for work, this is a solid upgrade. The 48 megapixel ultra-wide lens is also sharper and produces better quality photos, though I don't use this lens often. And additionally, the 16 Pro Max now supports 48 megapixels macro photography, which looks noticeably better, but I don't use it much either. The optical zoom options remain the same between the 15 and 16 Pro Max, but one new feature is the ability to capture spatial photos and videos on the 16 Pro Max, while the 15 Pro Max only supports spatial videos. However, since most of us aren't using Vision Pro yet, this feature might not matter much for now. So overall, the camera quality on the 16 Pro Max is outstanding. I've taken lots of photos with it and they're incredibly sharp. The dynamic range is excellent, making it one of the best smartphone cameras available today. Next, camera control. This was introduced this year with the iPhone 16 lineup, but I still don't love it. I talked about this in other videos as well. I might need more time to get used to it, but the photos look amazing, so no complaints here. But if you're interested in learning more about camera control, here's how it works. By default, one press opens the camera, a harder press takes the picture, and a light tap gives you haptic response that brings up options like zoom or exposure, and a double tap will bring up different settings. The reasons why I'm not a fan are that the button itself feels stiff and it's in an awkward spot. Your index finger and thumb don't naturally land on it, so you have to constantly remind yourself it's there. And when you do use it, the touch sensitivity isn't great either, making it a bit unpredictable. In my experience, it has been faster and easier to just use the screen as usual and skip camera control. We'll see if that changes. Also, Apple has mentioned that a future software update will make it work like a traditional two-stage shutter, where a half press focuses and a full press captures a photo, but there's no set date for that. One nice feature though is that you can configure camera control to open a third-party camera app, which can be handy if you post a lot on Instagram and like to use the Instagram camera to post straight from there, for example, because with just a press, you can go straight to your Instagram camera. Now, talking about the processor, the iPhone 16 Pro Max comes with the A18 Pro chip, which is faster and more efficient. This means your iPhone will run smoother and is less likely to have heating issues. In daily use, these differences can be hard to notice, but if you do a lot of gaming or use demanding apps, you might be able to see the difference. Next, Apple Intelligence. Both the iPhones 15 Pro Max and 16 Pro Max will support Apple Intelligence, but most of the features aren't available yet, so there's not much to talk about it. Also, make sure to watch this video here where I talk more about Apple Intelligence. The prices haven't changed. The iPhone 16 Pro starts at $999 and the Pro Max starts at $1,200, so that's the same as last year. However, if you're currently deciding between the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max, you could save about $200 by buying a refurbished iPhone 15 Pro Max on Amazon, for example. But now off to the final question. Is it worth upgrading from the 15 Pro Max to the 16 Pro Max? And my answer is not really. The 15 Pro Max is already an incredible smartphone, and if you own one, there's no strong reason to upgrade this year. I would recommend waiting. The new features are good, but not good enough to justify spending more money or actually losing money on an upgrade. However, if you have an older iPhone like the 12 or 13 and you've been planning to upgrade, the 16 Pro Max is a great choice. It's a fantastic smartphone, and the 16 Pro might be a good pick too since it's bigger this year, so definitely take a look at it as well. Now, if you're considering saving money by going with a refurbished or used 15 Pro Max, that could also be a great option, but just remember to check the battery health and overall condition of the iPhone before purchasing. In short, if you have an older iPhone, I do recommend the 16 Pro Max, but if you have the 15 Pro Max, I don't. Overall, I found the release of the 15 Pro Max to be a lot more exciting than this year's 16 lineup. The jump in upgrades wasn't that impressive for 2024. Again, I'm not saying the 16 Pro and Pro Max are bad, they're great iPhones, but the changes weren't huge. Next year, though, we might see more exciting updates. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Also, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of my upcoming content. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.